Behind me here, we see the Swak Formation. You see the tilted layers? We are at 4,100 feet elevation up on top of Blewett Pass. Now, at the end of the flood, the Cascade Mountain ranges rose up, and as they rose up, these layers that you see behind me, they got tilted. And these layers are made up of sandstone, siltstone, conglomerate, and shale. The shale holds fossils. Now, as the mountains rose up, huge masses of water, sheets of water flowed off the Cascade Mountains going into the ocean basins, carving out all of these canyons, exposing these sedimentary layers behind me, and there's even more sedimentary layers over here in the road cut. When the world looks at a mountain or a canyon in all of its splendor, they just say, wow, that is a beautiful mountain or canyon. But when a Christian looks at a mountain or a canyon with the right perspective, then there is real sincere meaning behind that mountain or canyon. Leaf fossils and branch fossils, like the ones behind me, are many times found in very articulate and well-defined condition, where you can actually identify the leaf very easily, proving rapid burial. Take, for example, these fossils. There's a story behind these fossils, but it is a story that is rooted in catastrophism and instant burial, not by this lifeless, monotonous, and humdrum story that by chance the leaf fell off a tree and over long periods of time the leaf was slowly buried and covered up. But what do we really see? Many fossils like this one we find around the world that are in prime and pristine condition. This is all sandstone and shale, I think, up there.
Yeah? Holy schmoly.
Yeah, look at this. Huge fossil, just scattered branches and leaves.
Little fossils.
Mm-hmm.
Down below. Oh my goodness. How fun is that?
Yeah, it fell off from up there.
Yeah.
And came down. Fish fossils are found with their fins extended and sometimes found with one fish in the act of swallowing another fish, or an animal giving birth. These fossils say no to slow, gradual burial. They did not die. They were killed instantly, catastrophically. It is a lot of fun getting caught up in the moment as we see the scientific evidence naturally aligning itself with the Bible. Behind me here, we have got these sedimentary layers called sandstone that are almost at a 180-degree angle. And this tells us a lot about the Kittitas and Chelan area, that this is not an example of uniformitarianism, slow, gradual uplift or erosion. When we look around here, we are noticing catastrophism, not uniformitarianism. You have to admit, it is amazing and awe-inspiring that when you dig up a fossil and touch it for the first time, there is a good chance it was buried during the worldwide flood mentioned in the Holy Scriptures.
There you go.
Okay, we're looking at here is cross-bedded sandstone near ripple marks, leaf fossils, and fish fossils. There, ripple marks, right there. Okay, this is really amazing. Here I am on the old Blewett Pass Highway, Highway 97, and here we have represented the Teanaway basalt flow right here that you're looking at. And then we go down here a little ways, and then we have what some secular scientists would say is a riverbed, that this here is river rock, which it is not. This here is a catastrophe, which you're looking at right here. This is a mud flow deposit. And then we move on a little further, and then we have sandstone. So what do we make of this? So we have sandstone, we have a flood deposit, which some people call a riverbed deposit, and then over here we have the Teanaway basalt flow. So in other words, what's happened here is that all these layers at one time were horizontal, and then an event took place, and this would be towards the end of the flood when the mountains rose up and these layers went vertical. That's what we're seeing here. This is why we can measure the depth of these layers and say, okay, the Teanaway basalt flow is 5,000 feet deep. The Swak Formation, according to some estimates, is as deep as 28,000 feet. I don't know for sure that it's really that deep, but that's what some of the secular scientists are saying, and I'll go along with that because that only helps us catastrophic scientists, because we believe that this was all laid down by a flood, not over millions of years. That what we're looking at here is a catastrophe, not uniformitarianism. And so, once again, like the Bible says, and it agrees with science, and science agrees with the Bible, that these layers were all laid down horizontally, and then the mountains rose up, and these layers went vertical. So this is an amazing piece of geologic evidence that we're seeing right here. Here is the Swak Formation once again, fossil-bearing rock, and we find lots of fossils in here. And here you can see part of this Swak Formation, how it's gone at an angle like this. You come around, because we're in a road cut here, and here we have more fossil-bearing rock. And I've been following this formation for almost a mile. and it's all vertical. And I'm seeing some amazing fossils here, and it's blowing me away right now. I've been following this sedimentary layer called the Swak Formation now well over a mile, and it is angled at anywhere from 45 degrees almost to 180 degrees, which is just phenomenal considering that this was all horizontal at one time. Okay, here we are, Highway 97, the old Blewett Pass Highway, and you see up there sedimentary layers that are about 180 degrees. These sedimentary layers were horizontal at one time, but towards the end of the flood, these mountains, they rose up and tilted those layers at almost 180 degrees. And these are, once again, fossil-bearing rocks. And of course, as we come along here, we find another interesting phenomenon. We see where the Teanaway lava intruded into these sedimentary layers that we call the Swak Formation. And there are literally thousands of these dike flows where basalt intruded into the Swak Formation, where the earth opened up, and this lava, it oozed up through there and then flowed out on top. And so this is just another example, once again, of this one particular type of sedimentary layer that I've been following for now well over a mile. And okay, here we are, Old Blewett Pass Highway, Highway 97, and you are looking at some amazing geology that gives strong evidence of a worldwide flood of catastrophism. We are looking at sandstone, which is fossil-bearing rock, and it's very, very deep here. And as we continue on here up the highway, then we stumble upon the Teanaway basalt flow. Right up here, it is this darker rock. And so the earth opened up, it split, and all this lava shot through. And you can see the contact line right there. You can see to the right, the lighter rock, which is sandstone. The darker rock is a Teanaway basalt flow. And then you continue on up here, and we'll see another contact line. So here's the other contact line right here. You'll notice now the lighter rock to the left, which is a sandstone, and the darker rock to the right is the Teanaway flood basalt. And so this basalt is high in silica, and this is where you can actually find thunder eggs, geodes, and calcite. And if you find calcite, you can find wire gold in it. Okay, so if we find calcite in a basalt flow like this, high in silica, then the next question you have to ask yourself is part of this the fountains of the Great Deep? Was there water that was shooting up with this basalt that we're seeing right here that penetrated this sandstone? This sandstone, according to secular geologists, is a Swak Formation. And they're saying that this can be as thick as 28,000 feet deep. And the Teanaway basalt flow is 5,000 feet deep. And of course, as we come around here, you see that the sandstone continues on around the bend. So this sandstone structure that we're seeing here is actually vertical. It is not horizontal, which is really important to our study here. But here's
let's see, what is that? Well, I can see plant fossils at more than one location here. You can see black in this crevice sticking out. There's both a mostly black thin strip that goes upwards and at an angle, it's not straight. And then there's a few spots where the lines are exposed on the underside of layers that are there. And all that is I believe all that is plant fossils. I know the color on the underside of the layers are. You know, there's a good number of plant fossils throughout these layers. All this dark here is carbon material and pieces of leaves. Some plants, of course. You can see it. A lot was going on, you know, throughout these layers. I don't know if you can see that, but
yeah, looks like water bottom twigs and stuff.
right, twigs and leaves, and there are plenty of bigger branches and even tree trunks in these layers.
Okay, here we are at Lions Rock, and we are at over 6,000 feet elevation. And across the valley over here, we have the Columbia River basalt flows. Now, according to secular scientists, there is 300 different lava flows that make up the Columbia River basalt flows. Now, this basalt flow that we're seeing right here, specifically, is the Grand Ronde basalt flow. So it started in eastern Washington, eastern northern part of Oregon, and it flowed all this way and stopped right here. Now you think about it, if there was 300 different lava flows in an 11 million year period, according to the secular scientists, where the basalt flow started 17 million years ago and stopped 6 million years ago, then that would mean that there would be 36,000 years between each basalt flow. Now, if there was 36,000 years between each basalt flow, don't you think there would be some erosion marks between each flow? But there isn't. They are laid down like pancakes. Now, as we walk over here, we notice across the valley, we have the Mount Stewart mountain range, which is a batholith. Okay? Also, across this canyon here, we also have the Teanaway basalt flows, which wire gold came from, and the famous Ellensburg blue agate. And the Ellensburg blue agate flowed out of the Teanaway basalt flows and it flowed down into the Ellensburg Valley over here. Now, the interesting thing about the Teanaway basalt flows compared to the Columbia River basalt flows is that the Teanaway, they were a lot thicker, had more silica in it, and that's why across the valley we find thunder eggs, we find geodes, and we find the Ellensburg blue agate. Because the Teanaway basalt flow had more silica in it, and so another catastrophic event came along, carved out all of this valley right here, exposed the Ellensburg blue agate, and caused the Ellensburg blue agate to flow out into the Ellensburg Valley. Now, the Ellensburg blue agate is considered to be a gem according to some experts, and it is anywhere between a 7 and an 8 on the Mohs hardness scale. The other amazing thing about what we're looking at here is that wire gold came out of the Teanaway basalt flows. There's very few places in the world where you ever find wire gold, and we find it out here in the valley. Also, down in the valley here, and I'm going to show you these places, we also have the Swauk Formation. Now, this is really cool because down here in the valley, we see sandstone pillars, which is part of the Swauk Formation, and they're down there in the valley. You can hardly see them, so the point is that there could not have been an ice flow that had come through here and carved out this valley like some secular scientists claim, because if there had been a sheet of ice that had come through here, it would have wiped out these sandstone pillars. So to me, it makes more sense that water would have carved this area out.